Welcome everybody to the Coach Approach. It's your Blake. What the hell? Welcome everybody to the Coach Approach. It's your coach Blake of the Black Faker. There you go. And I'm going to be doing a VOD review for a bronze game today. Before we hop into the review, though, and anonymous, I'm going to. I've been looking through your history, and I've realized we don't really know what to build. I'm not even going to say in the given situation. It's just our builds aren't really that great, and builds if even if you're fed, like if you're not building correctly, it's really difficult for you to be able to actually be active in the game and be able to do a lot for you. So before we hop in to the actual replay, I just took it upon myself to help you out with the items. So the top box is pretty much the stuff that you'd want to build almost every game in terms of situational use, of course, and then the second box is stuff that you can build if you need to. So the first box is like, this is stuff we should be building all the time. I'm not saying you should build all these items at the same time. I'm just saying we should build a couple of these items every single game. And then this one is, okay, some games I'll build it, some games I won't, okay? And I'm gonna walk you through each item just briefly to explain what they do so that you can better assess if you need the items or not. So of course, starter item. Always get that. I mean, if you don't get that, you're probably going to lose. Zeke's Convergence. You get 60 armor and 60 magic resist, and then mana, and of course, the cooldown. Now, this item is really good. Pretty much when you ult, you get this thing around you that slows everybody within the vicinity, and then also it frosts them. When the ADC hits them, it ignites them, and it actually does bonus magic damage to that target that whatever you're standing on and your ADC actually hits. Now, if you're a champion that is probably going to ult from far away, even like Nautilus is fine, but I'm just saying if you have an ult but you're not really near the target your ADC is going to be hitting, it's really hard for so let's say if we're going to the back line. Well, if your ADC can't hit the back line, this item is probably not the best because nobody can really take effect of it. You know what I mean? But I would build this. This is a very good solid armor magic resist item. The only time I probably wouldn't build this is if you have an ADC that is just really slow at attacking. So we'll say like Jhin, right? Because the more you auto attack, the more you get out of the item. Jhin doesn't really auto attack that much, and it's very inconsistent. And when your ADCs are not like Lucian as well, I mean it works with Lucian because he has a double tap, but pretty much what I mean. Ezreal, same thing. And higher elo, of course, they put in more autos, but the Ezreals that I'm pretty sure you're used to just kind of sit there and throw Qs. If the AD carry isn't that quick at auto attacking, then Zeke's Convergence is probably not the best to build. Most ADCs do go really well with this, but for the most part, it's not. This is a really good rush item if you need armor and magic resist, and your ADC can actually benefit from it. Now, as far as Knight's Vow go, what does it do? It gives you 250 HP, 40 armor, and then 10% cooldown. This basically, when you attach it to someone, it reflects the damage off of whoever you attach it to. So it says 12%. If your partner's nearby, heal for 12% of the damage. Your partner does, so your champion, and redirect 12% of the damage your partner takes. So whatever 12% damage he takes, it goes to you, and then you also heal 12% of the damage if whatever your partner does, whoever you decide to mark. Now this is really good because there's a lot of AD mid laners now. It's really good to rush this item if you have an AD mid and AD jungle, and they have, of course, an AD carry that's an AD. That's 3 ADs. Now, if the support's AP, it doesn't really matter. Of course, you don't get the magic resist. What you can do is kind of cheat the system and just buy a null magic mantle, just a little 450 magic piece, and then rush this item. Because the ADC really shouldn't be getting hit by that AP support. I mean, sometimes they do, like Lux and Vel'Koz and stuff like that. But for the most part, the people that's going to be in your ADC carry's face is going to be the AD. Right? So if the whole team's AD, rush Knight's Vow. If the mid laner is AD, the ADC is AD, and the jungler is AD, rush Knight's Vow. If it's Senna and another AD carry bot, rush Knight's Vow. It's very important because you need to make sure that you keep your ADC safe. Very situational though, if there is like Senna and another ADC, and then the mid laner is AP, and then the jungler is AP, basically 2 APs and 2 ADs, you could swing it to Zeke's Convergence instead. Oops, I did not mean to click it. I deleted Zeke's Convergence. I'm sorry. So yeah, I definitely do that. Now, if it's a full AP team, or there's double AP bot or stuff like that, or there's like an APC, basically an attack, not attack. I'm sorry, an ability powered AD carry, pretty much like a Ziggs bot lane or a Veigar bot lane, stuff like that. You would want to take the Locket. Why? Because it just prevents a lot of bursts when you actually use that active, and you also get armor out of it, which is fine too. So very solid choice. If there's more AP than AD, Locket is fine to rush, but remember this the shield scales off your HP, so you don't really want to build this first item if you can help it. Zeke's Convergence is probably better. But if you're getting burst, like if your ADC is getting bursted by a lot of stuff that's AP, like a Vargar, like I said, which is just kind of unavoidable sometimes, getting a Locket is really good. Mikhail's Crucible. So not a lot of players actually build this, but it's a really strong. Basically what it does is gives you magic resist, cooldown, and of course mana regen, which nobody really cares about, but your healing and shielding power is better. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't shield with these champions that I play. You're right, you don't. But the really like important thing about this item is it cleanses your ADC. So if your ADC does get stunned or snared or whatever, or caught out, you press this button and they're free to go. It's basically like a Quicksilver sash, but you control who you're sashing. Very important item if there's a ton of CC and your ADC has really no way of like actually living because they're gonna get locked down instantly. Very situational, but it does. There are more uses to it sometimes. Now, of course, if you were like playing Janna or Soraka, you would get this more often than a tank would, but don't count it out. And then of course redemption. If you feel like there's no need to buy your Locket, or you feel like there's no need to buy Knight's Vow, or no need to buy Zeke's Convergence, you could buy this first. I would recommend it buying it second because you need the armor and magic resist first from either Knight's Vow or Zeke's, and then build this second. And then you can build a Locket third because you can scale off of the actual redemption. And then of course this stuff, if there's a heavy AP, I think it's like Brand that just can burn you over time. Adaptive damage, what it does is pretty much reduces all incoming damage of the same type. So the tick of Brand, the tick of Teemo, Evelynn, Q, Spite, like the same ability over and over is going to be reduced if you keep getting hit by it. Frozen Heart, very good if there's a lot of attack speed heavy champions on the other team. When they get close to you in the team fight, they're going to have their attack speed slow. Tryndamere, Master Yi, stuff like that. Gargoyle Stoneplate, this is these items are probably going to be your 4th or 5th items, by the way. They're never really going to be your rush items or your 3rd or your 2nd item or anything like that. But this is very good if you feel like you need to be more tanky. The champs you play don't really need to be, so very situational. And then Righteous Glory, if you want to try to engage a lot more, and you want to be the one to start the fights, and you find it's really hard to get onto the target, build this, activate it, and you'll start zooming like real fast to that person, and you can start the fight on your terms instead of getting peeled off or slowed or something like that when you're trying to engage. So I know that was pretty long-winded, but I just wanted to kind of explain what these items do. I'll have a timestamp if you guys already see. I should have said I'll have a timestamp beforehand, but I'll put a timestamp in the description. Now, let's get on to the replay. I hope that helped. If you got any questions, though, feel free to message me. It's all good. All right, so we're going to be looking at a Nautilus gameplay here. As I said before, I went over the items. If you guys use a timestamp, then of course you guys are past the items, and if you guys didn't, well, then it's fine. So we're playing with the Tristana. The first thing you always want to do is analyze your lane, right? We have a Tristana and a Nautilus versus Caitlyn and a Leona. Now, within this, the thing that we want to think about is that what type of lane are we and what type of lane are they? So this pretty much is a kill lane, and this pretty much is you guys are also a kill lane. You can say that Caitlyn's a poke lane too, which she kind of is, but we always want to look at it as a 2v2, what they can do together. Leona doesn't really poke. If you get hooked by Leona, the target's probably going to die. Caitlyn can definitely full combo, and the same thing for you guys. So pretty much it's a kill versus kill lane. So whoever happens to do things first pretty much is going to happen in this lane. So with this in mind, we need to make sure that whenever we fight, we got to make sure that Tristana has her abilities up. Right, as we see right here, she used her bomb, and then we look to hook. Now, I don't really know if you were hooking to just hook a minion, or if you were hooking to actually try to hit someone. But if that hook would have landed on one of them, and she just used her bomb here, there's no way she can help you. And so one thing you want to do when you're playing ADC, I also need these notes, by the way. One thing you want to do is make sure you understand your ADC's damage. Okay, you need to understand how much damage the ADC actually does, and the next thing you want to do is make sure you understand what the ADC wants to do to win lane. This goes for the enemy ADC too, but you start off on just your personal ADC, and then you can go ahead and move on. So Tristana, she does want to fight, she does want to get kills. But if we're talking about we're having like a Twitch or a Kog'Maw or a Vayne, like they don't want to fight that much. Senna, they don't want to fight that much. They want to poke a little bit if they can, but for the most part, they just want to farm and scale up. So you trying to start fights, especially in a kill lane versus kill lane like this, and you have a Vayne, and you're trying to go in, she's just going to die because she's not a kill lane AD carry. If the ADC cannot 100-0 a target, it is not considered a kill lane, even if you're playing a kill support, okay? Tristana can 100-0 anybody if she just fucking hops on them. So understand the power spikes of the ADC you're with, and then understand the actual wants of your AD carry so that you don't end up in a really bad situation, okay? All right. Let me make sure I'm using display mode on here, because sometimes I don't. Okay, I am. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. When you're playing a short range carry, or not short range carry, when you're playing a short range support, you really gotta watch where you're standing. A really good way to avoid confrontation like this is stand in the bush. You see how Leona's standing in a bush? She could be standing in the bush for 2 reasons. 1, she's trying to not get hit by Tristana. 2, she's just trying to be, you know, Secret Service member. Definitely probably the second one, where she's just trying to be a Secret Service member. She's probably not really thinking about getting poked down, but you should be. So you should be weaving in and out of these bushes to make sure that you're not getting harassed all the time, because you took a lot of damage here. And if Leona decides to go in at level 2, you just die, or you're going to be forced to flash out. That's a lot of damage just for free. And then as you see, she walks up, and she's even taking damage too. So you got to be really, really careful about where you're standing, because now you're at a disadvantage. And now what you're doing is basically making Tristana 2v1. A good way to kind of think is you always want to try to be parallel to your AD carry if you can. Not all the time, because sometimes they're just fucking monkeys. But if they happen to know what the fuck they're doing a little bit, you want to be parallel to them. You don't really ever want to be in the back like that, because that's not your job. You're supposed to be scary. And this doesn't look like you're scary at all. So instead of standing way back there, stand in the bush. What happens if they ward the bush? Well, A, they wasted a ward, so your jungler can easily come around and kill them. B, move to this bush. Or C, you can stand back here if you want. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Just try to be more scary. Be more threatening. You're playing like these scary supports. You need to make sure you're way more scary than you actually are. Because right now, you're not really doing anything. And you have to be scary. There's really no reason to ward that bush. You know she's over here. Don't waste wards like that. I'm not going to write that down. It's just something minuscule. All right. So even if you did land a hook here, you die. You don't have any HP. This is why it's important to not really get chunked out like this. Tristana's power spike is 3. She could actually, I lied. Her power spike's 2, but it's also 3. So if you manage to hit 2 first, of course, fly in there. But if you can wait till 3, it's just as good, depending on what ability she took. Because she could have taken Q and E. Oh, yep, she did. She took Q and E. Most Tristana players are going to take E and W, but sometimes you can't really be sure. So this is why just waiting for 3 is just the best thing to do for you. Okay, we'll just fast forward it here. Kind of the same old, same old. As I said, you going in with no HP, you're already at a disadvantage. No matter what, you're going to die. Okay, so you should have died, but they played it kind of like crap. And the way that I always explain people when I'm teaching them is you don't want to climb because the people you're going against suck. You want to climb because you're better than those people you're going against. As you see right here, you only got out because they didn't know what they were doing. Look at this. Right. Oh, you already got out. Oh, no, you didn't. Is this the same play? Yeah, this is. She netted for no reason. You missed her Q, which means there's no way you're going to get close to her. If she just would have kept auto-attacking you and walking with you, even if you flash away, she'd just net to you and then get you. But instead, she decided to net backwards because she was scared, even though you had nothing up to even do anything to her. And Leona didn't even bother to ignite you either. So, yeah. They definitely could have killed you, but they just played it really, really poorly. And when you're in higher elos, they will fuck you up. So you have to be really, really careful. As I always say, you know, I want to teach you to where you're going, not where you are. I'm not going to be like, well, because you're in lower elo, it's okay to blah, 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 blah. It's not okay. You need to get, you know, you need to get better at what we're doing so that when we get to the higher elo, we're not going to be taken advantage of, or you're not going to demote and stuff like that because you're being abused pretty much. And it's just not fun. Being abused in a higher elo fucking sucks. So I want you to be prepared for it. Okay. Once again, you can't really go in if you don't have any HP. So one thing that I notice here is we're not really fighting around our win condition of a fight. So what necessarily happens if we say, I think a lot of your problems just stem from laning phase anyway. I think your laning phase is just not that good. And I don't mean it like you just suck at the game. I just mean like if you can't come out of laning phase even or ahead, you're probably gonna lose your games. And so when I say it's not that good, I mean like we're not having a good laning phase. We're having a pretty poor laning phase. We're low, and you know they're just abusing us really, really bad. And this is not even a high elo game. So we got to make sure that we fix this. And so how do we fix this? How do we make it so that I can just dominate? Because what generally happens when you play a hook champion and they don't, like on the other team, and you verse like a sustain or a poke lane, you get lucky with a hook. I'm not saying you can't aim. I'm just saying, you know, people do get lucky with hooks, and then you just insta kill them because you're a hook champion, because you're playing Thresh, you're playing Blitz, you're playing Nautilus, you're playing Leona, you're playing Pyke, and you don't really need skill involved. So once again, I'm not saying you suck. Let me reiterate, okay? I'm saying you don't really need to put a lot of emphasis behind a hook. You hook somebody, your team engages on that hook, and then you kill them. And with that in mind, it goes to show you're not really thinking about anything other than if I land a hook, we can kill them. And that's not how you have to think about it. You need to understand what can happen if you do land a hook, right? Well, if I land a hook on Caitlyn, she's probably just going to net me away. Also, if Tristana doesn't have her bomb up, it's not going to be able, we're not going to be able to do any damage because she does her damage with her bomb. So what do I need to do? And also, Leona's probably going to stun me. So what I need to do? Well, I can fake it. I can walk up, scare him, like just walk up, and Leona's going to stun me. And then when her stun is down, I can just walk back, and then I can re-engage on her. Yeah, she'll still have her net up, but Leona's down in ability. You see, like play these mind games. Play around their cooldown so that you're able to actually be successful when you're landing your hooks instead of like throwing all your abilities out, Tristana not being ready, and then you know, you end up dying for it. So let's just see, did she even have anything? Okay, well, we hooked the support. That really wasn't the best thing to do anyway. Only supports worth hooking are the squishy supports. Like that's the only time. Any other time you don't want to hook that. You can't really expect your ADC to know who to target. They're probably just going to target whoever you hook because that's just kind of how most players are. That fucking blows. Oh, she lives. Oh, but you die. Unlucky. You're just trying to save her. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, one thing you want to remember though, I'm not gonna let it. I'm gonna let it slide because you were trying to say. I get that you were trying to save her, but remember, just because you're dying for an AD carry, just because you're dying for a mid laner, a top laner, a jungle, whatever, you dying is not okay. A lot of times you hear support saying, well, as long as I die for the ADC, as long as I die for the... No, you don't want to fucking die at all. Let them fucking die. They suck. You dying because you're a support does not mean you give less gold. A support dying is 300 gold. Just like a regular fucking champion. So unless that damn ADC or mid laner is like fat as fuck, you let them die if they're doing something stupid. This guy just entered. Do not follow. What are you going to do? Probably follow. Luckily, Shin saved the booty. But look at your ADC. What is she doing? Oh, did she fight Caitlyn? No, she's just been farming the whole time. Look at that. Right? The only reason this actually went well is because Shin tamed down. But if this was a game with no Shin, you just would have ended with your jungler. Because he's doing something stupid. There are 4 players, there are ADCs in your tower, and he's all your damage because you're just a tank. You're too much trying to be helpful. You don't climb League of Legends by helping your team all the time doing stupid shit. You gotta understand, like, if they're stupid, they're stupid. You gotta understand you're smarter than them. There shouldn't be any time where you doubt a play and you just go along with it because I'm the support and that's just what I do. Right here, easy fight. Just walk up to Caitlyn. We know that she out damages her because how does Caitlyn work? Nets and traps. So either she's gonna net and trap you, which gives her free reign, or she's gonna net and trap Tristana, that gives you free reign. On top of that, Leona used everything already. She's not level 6, she's level 5. So she used everything just now. The snare, the stun, and her W. There's nothing left for you to worry about. This is where you fight and turn around. Instead, you're looking to run. And now you're looking to re-engage. You see, like, that was the moment for you to get a free kill. And this is how I know you're not really thinking about what you're doing when you're playing these hook champions, because, I mean, the way you go about fighting. Look how much damage that she just did. And that was without you. And then, of course, when she does the stupid shit, you try to help. And you die for it. So, I'm going to put When looking to engage, make sure you time it right. Play around abilities. Next thing I'll write is if your team does something stupid, let them. You dying for someone as a support is a no. That's no such thing as, it's okay, I'm the support, I'll die for you. There's no fucking such thing as that. Get that out your head. That's not how you climb. I have an account for every single role, and I climb with support almost to platinum in the preseason, because I didn't play it in the season before. But in the preseason, I'm going to climb it again this season before the season's over. But in preseason, I had I want to say 68, but I know for sure I seen 65. I don't know if it was 65 to 68 or a 68 to 65. But regardless, I'll just say 65. A 65% win rate going into platinum with the support. With this, playing only support. And I wasn't playing champions. Why? Because if I played hook champions, it'd be kind of cheating. I can definitely just easily land several hooks and just kill everybody. So I do my best to play shit like Janna, Taric, Soraka, Yumi, Senna, shit like that, so that I have to play the game while always thinking rather than just throwing out hooks and just killing everybody because I'm really good at landing hooks. You know what I mean? Nothing's wrong with playing hook champions. I'm just saying for my sake of the climb, it just would be kind of cheating because I'm the Smurf here. So, yeah. Anywho, what? I don't even know what happened. Wait, why is this guy just getting buffs? Okay. One thing to remember, just because you go in does not mean you stay in until you die. I had this problem when I played tanks too. I'd go in and think, I'm just gonna soak up all the fucking damage for you. I got you. And then I'll just sit there and like do 0 damage to anybody, walk away, and then re-engage with when your abilities come back up. Now I don't mean be full HP and walk away, but if you know you're about to fucking die, you gotta back up and then come back. Even if you do die, at least you were able to throw in another like rotation of your spells, which is fine because you're giving more CC. But you throwing your CC out and then just sitting there and dying, it doesn't really do anything. Especially if you're being focused. Right? If Caitlyn's focusing you right here and you're right here and you walk back, Caitlyn's gonna do one of two things. Fucking greed for you and walk right through your team and then die. Or she's gonna focus someone else, which means you can come back and re-engage, as I said. Very, very important. Alright, so the next thing here that I want to kind of talk about is before each play or each fight, make sure you have all 3 of these things. And I will have them in homework. I know this seems like a lot, but I will have homework, and I'll make sure that and it's not gonna be, I mean, everything's important, but I'm gonna separate some stuff and tell you what I think is the most important for you to get better and climb way faster. So the 3 things we want to think about is positioning, ultimates, and resources. Okay, so positioning, ultimates, and resources. If we don't have all 3 of those, we don't fucking fight. So let's go back and just kind of analyze this fight right here and see if we have all the 3. Alright, so we see Veigar just died. We don't know where Yasuo is, but we can assume that he's probably backed if he just killed Veigar. We see Leona, Caitlyn. We see Tristana, Kayn, obviously, they're on our team. And then we see Veigar spawning. Right now, we see Caitlyn still in lane. So are we in a good position? Yes. Do we have ultimates? Well, I'm level 5, so no, I don't have an ultimate. But Kayn has his. Tristana doesn't really need her ultimate. She likes to have it, but it's not necessary. You definitely need your ultimate. So some champions do need ult, some don't. Like Shin in a team fight, he doesn't need his ultimate because he's going to be fighting in the team. Veigar needs his, Kayn needs his, and you need yours. So every single team fight we have past 6, we need to make sure that those 3 champions have their ultimates before the fight starts. So we go in, we get the hook on Leona. This is when we should start focusing her and zoning her back so that these two teammates can fight Leona by themselves. You don't need to be punching her in the face. Okay. Right. So can you say that was good positioning? And then resources, of course. Resources is just HP and mana. So I think that was fine positioning. And I think that we had our ultimates and we had resources, right? And look, we ended up winning this fight just off of having those 3 things. Right, so let's keep going and we'll keep analyzing every single team fight that we have and just see if it helps. just another poor engage. You really gotta focus on who you're targeting. So you gotta focus on your target priority. You can't just be focusing whoever is in front of you. Definitely try to get hooks on champions that need to be hooked. In this game, it's Talia, Yasuo, and Caitlyn. So focus on target prio. Think about, if I hook this person, can we instantly blow them up? If you can ask yourself that question every time you land a hook, and you have to say no, you don't fucking throw that damn hook. Oops. Alright. You're doing fine, though. You're doing fine. I mean, for the most part, obviously this is shit you just don't know, and that's why I'm here to help you out. So don't feel ashamed, or don't feel like you just don't know anything and you're so bad. This shit you just wouldn't know unless you played a bajillion games all the time and researched everything and stuff like that. Yeah, that's just your fucking ADC getting killed. In a 2v2 situation, by the way, bot lane, every single time, go for that AD carry. Every single time. So let's say Leona hooks your AD carry, okay? You retaliate by going for their AD carry. Why? Because you want to mitigate as much damage as possible that your ADC is going to take. If you hook Leona, when Leona goes in, Caitlyn can just focus to Tristana the entire time because you're not doing anything to her. So always look to zone off the ADC in 2v2 if your ADC gets caught, okay? I'll write that down for you too. If your ADC gets caught in lane in a 2v2, focus the other ADC to lower the damage your ADC will take. Okay. Did I wait? What? There we go. I was like, did I spell that? It looked funky, but maybe it wasn't. I deleted it too fast to like actually know. All right. Cool. Okay, we're going to ward. Are we warding? What did we buy so far? So we bought a Brambles vest. So in this situation, what would probably be the best thing? Well, you have an AD mid laner, and you have an AD ADC, and you have an AD, of course, Garen. So there's 3 ADs on your team, and then there's 1 AP. So I'm gonna quiz you, right? Out of these items, which one's probably the best for 3 AD and 1 AP to get first? Oh yeah, Zeke's convergence too. So I'll put a Z. Right? There's 2 champs that can actually get onto your ADC. And then of course if Caitlyn just pops. It's this one. Why? Because you'll be dealing with Yasuo and you'll be dealing with Caitlyn a lot more than you'll be dealing with Talia and Caitlyn later into the game. You could get Zeke's, but as I said, remember, just buy the Null Mantle so that your ADC can survive with this. The thing with Zeke's is your ADC doesn't get any magic resist or armor with that item. If they do, and I just don't know, let me know in the comments. But I'm not a fat ready to look. I guarantee that's not it, but I feel like I'm putting my foot in my mouth and they changed it and I just didn't know. Okay, yeah, it doesn't do that. Okay, so yeah, your ADC just gets more benefit out of having that armor to deal with Yasuo and Garen when they start going into their face, rather than having the Zeke's, which yeah, it does slow Garen and Yasuo, but let's be real, they don't care about slows, and the extra damage isn't really going to do anything, right? I'd rather have my ADC be able to live than them to be able to do extra damage but explode anyway. Especially because Yasuo and Garen are extremely hard to get away from. If you said Knight's Vow, good job. All right. You see what I mean? Right now, having Knight's Vow would be so good. Also, once again, you're doing the wrong thing. You're looking to peel off the Leona. It is okay to walk back to your ADC, but it is not okay to focus the person that is basically going to do no damage, right? If this was Garen, you peeling off the Garen is very, very important because you don't want to get close. But what is Leona going to do to Tristana when you could be locking her down so that this guy can easily target, you know? Focus your target priority better. Okay. Also remember, when you're playing in lane, it is a lot better for you to land a good hook than it is for you to just toss out several. You are way scarier if you don't use the hook than you are if they know it's down, okay? Before we start this fight, let's kind of look at it. I don't know what happens in it, but still look at it. Alright, so we're thinking about positioning. Shin has ultimate, so you can come down anytime. We see Garen here, we see Talia there. Right now is the time to go fight. Why? Because positioning says that 2 people are down there, we've got 4 with us. Even though we can't see the other 2 members here or here, we have to assume we can't see them. They're here. They're somewhere in the fog right next to Caitlyn. So we have to know that when we start this fight, it's going to be a 4v3, not a 4v1. Now, when we engage this fight, it is okay because we do have our... you don't have your ultimate, but the positioning is just so good right now. It's too much to pass up. If there was one more person here, then it'd be a little bit better. Honestly, you could just wait for your ultimate, though. If you want to be really, really, really honest. But okay, so you got your ultimate now. Positioning-wise, we got a 3v3 going on, but we don't see Talia and we don't see Garen. So we have to assume that they're coming. And Talia has an ultimate that can go over the wall, so we have to assume she could be here at any moment. So positioning-wise, we're already failing. We don't want to take this fight. We just back up. But because you get close, they happen to go on, force a flash out. You do die. They die. I don't know what Kane's doing. Oh, clapping cheeks. Okay. And that fight could have been a lot better if you just waited for your jungler. Like, if you just paid attention to what everybody's doing. Don't just focus on what's on your screen. Make sure that all 4 of your other teammates are actually ready to do stuff. Once again, positioning. Your mid laner just spawned, right? So that positioning, even if you say, okay, it's a 4v4, well, you don't have ultimate, Kane doesn't have ultimate, we don't win this fight. Do we actually win this fight? Okay, no, we don't. I was going to say, what the fuck? How? We don't win that fight. And we already knew we didn't win that fight because we just said it. We don't have our ultimates. We didn't have good positioning. Once again, our mid laner is in the base. We don't really have good positioning right here. Luckily, Shin does TP. We're good. And this is one of those kind of toss-up plays where it's like, oh, we go because blah, 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 blah. And it worked out. And that's the problem with lower elo. I always consider it like a kid touching a stove. Kid touch a stove and the stove is off. You know, it's all fun and games. Even when the parent says don't touch it, it's dangerous. It's all fun and games. But when it's on and he burns himself, he'll never do it again. That's how low elo is. Right, low elo, you're basically touching the stove all the fucking time, and because you're not getting punished for it, you don't know it's hot. But when you do get punished for it, you're like, holy fuck. That's pretty much how it goes. Okay. What? This is a good fight. We have ultimates, we have positioning. This is good. We don't lose. Keep going. Alright, we see Yasuo come behind us, hopefully. We should win this fight. No way we would lose. Wow, we actually lost. No way. That's just Yasuo things. Dude, all Yasuo players can be shit, and then they'll just get fucking pentakills, because that's the champion. That's how that champ works. So just not noticing that he was coming behind you guys kind of fucked you guys over. Once again, we're focused on the Leona, not the actual thing behind us or in front of us. And just for that, we end up in a really, really bad situation. Yeah, your ADC gets caught out by the Yasuo, but we weren't really paying attention. So just getting flanked is kind of why we lost that fight. But we definitely should not have lost that fight. That was a fight in our favor. And we ended up losing it. Positioning-wise, we don't have the jungler. We don't have the ADC. This is a bad fight to go for. Even if they are doing Baron, you have to give it up. So a lot of your deaths just stem from the same concept of we don't have the positioning, we don't have the ultimates, we don't have the resources. So homework here definitely is going to be, make sure you understand what your ADC's damage is, make sure you understand how they win lane. So basically just analyze the lane, make sure you understand what's going on. If your team does something stupid, let them do something stupid. I feel like you have too much of a habit of being the Band-Aid woman. I was gonna say man. I would say Band-Aid man, but obviously, you know, you're not a man. And basically just kill themselves over and over. You have to realize like your teammates are not that great, right? If we look at your teammates like win percentages, you'll see 50%, 45%, shit like that. If you were in school and your teammates were your classmates and you're in a class of 5, don't ask me why, you're just in a class of 5, right? And one day you come in and there's a surprise, or not a surprise test, there's a test that you didn't study for. You're like, oh, there's a test today I totally forgot I didn't study. And your 45%, 50% classmates that have, you know, Fs, because that's what a 45, anything under the 60% is an F. And they said, don't worry, you can cheat off of me if you want to. I know the answers, but you know they have a 45%, 50%, 55%, whatever. They got Fs. You're not going to cheat off them. You're just going to guess, right? You're like, it's fine. I'm going to guess. Better chances guessing. That's the same thing when it comes to League and you're making your plays. If they knew how to climb, they wouldn't be here. So you following everything they do, it's really hard for you to actually get better at the game if you're always following what someone else is saying. Because how do you get better? Oh, I'm not going to follow the Vygar next time I have a Vygar. What? A, you're never going to have that player in your game again, most likely. And B, how you know the next Vygar won't be really, really smart, right? So you have to make sure that every play that goes on, you think about and you think if it's going to work or not. If it's not going to work, say fuck them. You're just going to die, dude. I think number 6 is very important too. I think number 7 is definitely important. I think number 8 is important. So most important though, that I think we need to think about is 4. Don't let our fucking teammates int us. Focus on number 6 so that we're not starting fights for no reason. Focus on number 7 so we're actually starting the fight on the right target. And I think those are the main ones that we need to focus on right now. So I hope this helped you. If you got any questions, as I always say, feel free to message me. If you guys like a free VOD review, be sure to go to my Discord. I do them every Sunday. Or the channel opens up every Sunday. You just post your op.gg. Also, if we reach 200 subscribers, we'll have free coaching every single week. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for approaching this like a coach.